Boom, what's up? It's a Monday. Happy Monday. I'm Dominic D'Angelo of Studio1Sports.com, and it's Rumor and Innuendo. Robert Karplos may be joining us here shortly, but for right now, I'm flying solo. But, but, not necessarily. I am with all of you today. That's my Jerry Springer final thought mode I'm going into because I have Joseph Wade Walters who says, Morning Rumor and Innuendo heads. Kimmy Star says, After morning all. Caspian says, Hey, how's it going, everybody? Dre Owen says, Hello, RNI. Another early Raw episode today. Yeah, it kind of blew my mind. I was like, wow. And then I was like, Are they in Saudi right now? And no, they're in London. They're in London tonight for Raw. So we'll talk about that. Wrestling Old Head says, After morning RNI, so does the thigh slaps. After morning, everyone. Wanna Breeze says, Hello, RNI. Rumor and Innuendo, Dom just has a cup of coffee and ready to talk wrestling, but working stiff. Dom has a couple of beers and ready to get something off his chest. Yeah, it's nice to cut a little loose on working stiff. I tagged in for Robert last week because of Scott Chaplin needed a little bit of help. I sent Robert the wrong link, apparently. Did I? Hold on a second. I had to have, I guess. All right. 1 second. No wonder Robert's not here. Damn it, Dom. Hold on a second. Yes, I sent him the wrong link. Gee whiz. Gee willikers. All right, it's coming here. I was like, what the heck? Where is Robert? I didn't hear back from him. No wonder. There we go. I do want Robert here. Big Boss says, Hey, yo, happy Monday, says Legs Louie. Trying to, hold on. I want to text Robert, make sure let him know I sent him the link. You might know already. Dang it. Okay, there we go. Sorry, Legs Louie. Happy Monday, RNI. Love to hear your thoughts on how Gunther has been handled the post Cena retirement. We'll wait for Robert to show up for that. We'll get his thoughts on that. Wrestling OLED says popped in the wrong chat. LOL. Yes, everybody, if you can, please go to studio1sports.com and subscribe to that channel and get the word out there. Speaking of getting the word out, Robert, I did not mean to no-show you.
It's fine. Sitting there, waiting to go. Nothing. And all of a sudden I realized, I'm like, oh, it's 12:01.
Right. And
no
I'm like,
one's
where's
bothered
Robert?
to show up. I'm just sitting here waiting, and
where the heck
it's
is
good
Robert
to be back.
at?
I'm gone for a week, and all of a sudden the wheels fall off, and here we are.
We are here. That is true, Robert. Welcome back. How you feeling? How was Flair Country?
Flair Country was lovely. I think the most bizarre interaction that I wound up having while I was there. I was talking with some folks who are part of my organization, but are international and who I'd never met before. And we somehow at one point got into backgrounds and places that we've worked and operated in previously. So obviously, it doesn't take someone long to find out on my LinkedIn where I had worked previously. And one of the guys like, "Oh, you worked in wrestling, huh?" I'm like, "Yeah, oh, big, huge wrestling fan, love it, absolute favorite. We don't ever miss it." I'm like, "Oh, are you excited for All In?" What's All In?
Oh man. Well, he might be aware that Raw's in London tonight, Robert. Did you know that?
I'm super pissed because I'm going to be in London next week, and I would have liked to have gone. I would have
Wow.
loved to have experienced a proper British wrestling crowd.
Imagine if the stars did align for that and you were able to go to that. That would have been pretty
Oh,
neat.
that would have been an absolute blast. But I'm doubly happy that Raw's in London. You know why?
Because it's earlier.
Because it's earlier. So I do not have to stay up late tonight. This is big for me, Dom.
I like when that happens as well. What I wanted to get your thoughts. Last week, the big news overall for the wrestling week, I would say, would be the mass TNA exodus that went down. We happened to lose, Tessa Blanchard's gone. Steve Macklin recently left, who you're very familiar with, and the big one, Tommy Dreamer, had parted ways with TNA as well. Rumor and Innuendo could be potentially friend of the show, Road Dogg, might be taking over. But I want to get your thoughts overall on what the state of TNA right now is. We're so used to being LOL TNA. What does this mean for the next thing moving forward for the company?
First of all, I've never subscribed to LOL TNA. Go back to the beginning of my account. It's always been TN Awful.
Ooh.
Yes, that was for years just watching it. And I felt like of late they were getting their footing about them. I thought that they had a really strong roster of talent. I think that they were a fantastic alternative product. And then things just seem to have kind of fallen off the rails. They moved over to AMC. They were selling out buildings. You look at one building when they had the Hardys, and it was like, I want several thousand people that were packed into there, and it looked really promising. Santana was a captivating new champion for them and someone to build on. And when you have guys like a Frankie Kazarian or a Nick Nemeth or some really great talents there like Moose or AJ Francis or the aforementioned Steve Macklin, the current BRCW World Heavyweight Champion,
Yes.
you're like, hey, this is kind of interesting and compelling. I don't know what happened with Tommy. I've not reached out. Tommy and I go way back. I'm a big fan of Tommy Dreamer and what he does. It sounds as though from the reports that I read that TNA was putting themselves up for sale.
That's the rumor, innuendo, I guess, right? But nothing's been confirmed. And then Matt Hardy went online and said that TNA is not selling, or at least maybe not to WWE, maybe. So
according, it's from what I had seen from various outlets, the possibility that TNA was looking for $30 to $50 million due to a significant amount of toxic debt that they currently have on the books, and that's part of why WWE was not interested in acquiring them outright.
Interesting.
I think the biggest value for TNA is the library. That has always been the money. I think back to when I was at WWE 20 years ago, and there was space in the WWE vault for a potential TNA aisle. Like, hey, if we could get this would be huge. WWE was always about owning every piece of content to be able to tell sort of cradle to the grave stories of their talent, similar to what they learned when we got the AWA library or the Mid-South library, or obviously the NWA WCW library. You can go back and educate your fans and say, okay, if you're just a WWF purist and you only knew Ric Flair as the guy who showed up with the Real World's title in 1992, here's all the other stuff he did. And when they put out that DVD and it sold like gangbusters, they were like, oh man, there are so many wrestlers over the years that have had tremendous matches in TNA that are buried amongst just acres of muck and sludge and terrible booking.
Right.
A TNA show for years was unwatchable. You could not watch all 2 hours of a TNA Impact without thinking that something was just fundamentally wrong with your brain.
Real quick, what era would you cite that being at its worst, TNA? Watchable, watching-wise.
Watchable. They really had maybe a year and a half, 2-year window in which they were a genuine threat. I would say somewhere in that 05 to 07 corridor, where they had gotten rid of you watch the early onset of TNA, it's a fever dream. Like the Vince Russo just running wild with the weekly pay-per-views, with the over-reliance on, we're going to bring in a NASCAR driver, and that guy is going to be able to main event, that we're going to try to go over the top extreme with sex and violence and almost be insulting to your audience. That was kind of a difficult period to watch. And then when it became, we're going to go with Joe and AJ and Christopher Daniels, and then I was there when Christian showed up, and I was there when Kurt Angle showed up, and you're going, wow, those guys are really hitting on all cylinders, and Bobby Roode and James Storm and that beer money phenomenon.
Yeah.
Like, this is pretty captivating. And they were giving you great knockouts matches when WWE was not. And then they fell into the trap of WCW and to an extent AEW. What names from the past can we bring in and put them on television to somewhat diminished returns? And all due respect to a lot of your co-hosts over the years, their best work was not in TNA. They were not interested in making TNA a better product. And I'm really fascinated to watch the Dark Side of the Ring that's going to be coming out, because that's supposed to be a fairly honest portrayal of what was going on in that company, what was going on with the number of creative minds that worked in TNA. You look at Bischoff, Russo, Cornette, Dusty. it's
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 a
a
who's who.
it's a who's who. Even people who I worked with who worked there later in creative, who I'm not going to say their names because it's going to cause a visceral bile reaction out of me.
Mhm.
Um, but they've brought in a lot of those great creative minds, and I always think back to, in light of, obsession being such a huge phenomenon, and that, like, you make that wish, but are you sure? The fact that Dixie Carter had that meeting with Paul Heyman, it is now the thing of just lore, of legend, of what is it going to take to bring you in, Paul, and give you complete control. And he said, I want your young talent, I want your TV time, I want to get rid of the old guys. And Dixie wouldn't do it. She wouldn't let him get rid of Hogan and Sting and Nash and a lot of these guys that he felt were pulling, and Foley and Flair, that were kind of pulling down the product. And there is a world where TNA could have been the prototypical AEW, where it's, we're going to give you Paul Heyman storylines with a guy who has the sensibilities to give you cruiserweight matches and hardcore matches and technical wrestling matches, and make the stories behind those matches to a large degree matter with the financial resources that Dixie had available to her. That would have been a really exciting competitive time. It's why seeing what TNA has done over, this turned into a 12-minute TNA filibuster, and here we are.
Here we are.
Like Devin Dowling says, the main event mafia was goated. You're misremembering moments within that storyline. But that, to be fair, is a lot of wrestling. You filled in for me on Working Stiff. You're talking with Scott Chapman about the NWO, and
Mhm.
Scott basically said, I wasn't alive watching the NWO. I only
Yeah.
saw the highlights and snippets. And it's like, yeah, you could make a compelling 7-minute video package about the main event mafia, just like you make a compelling 7-minute package about the NWO. But that's not highlighting those 18 to 20-minute in-ring promos where they bring a motorcycle into the ring and you're letting every single person talk. And it was just brutal.
I know. I think the big crux with TNA for me, obviously, when they went head to head to for Raw, that was the same night Bret Hart showed up, returned WWE, and all that. And you had a little bit of momentum and intrigue, but the aspect of them going live every other week and kind of them eating themselves within, and on top of it too, you don't find the balance. You mentioned the legends being there and everything like that. And I love that aspect, but if they were utilized in the right manner to build up some of their newer talent and find that balance between like an RVD and a Samoa Joe or an AJ
Well,
Styles.
that's the thing. Like, kids, you want to get mad at Tony Khan for not using Danhausen properly.
Mm-hmm.
TNA had Okada.
Right,
And you know
right.
what they did with Okada? They made him Kato.
That's
They
right.
had him follow around Samoa Joe in a Kato mask.
I forgot about that.
They had Punk.
They had Punk.
You had
Mm-hmm.
CM Punk coming with that Raven feud, which was done at another company that we do not name on this show.
I don't know
And it
which.
was the first time I saw that company, and the first time I saw CM Punk, and I was like, this is captivating and intriguing. They really had all the pieces and all the talent to make it work. It's why I'm always very, very angry with Tony and AEW, where I'm like, you're a student of history. You've seen what TNA did. You can avoid a lot of those pitfalls. And yet for years, there was a lot of that repeatability.
Mm-hmm.
And I think right now with TNA, we all want them to succeed.
Absolutely.
The wrestling world is better for TNA existing. I still have friends that are in that organization. I haven't checked the latest news. I'm assuming they're all still within that organization. They can go and pull levers and do kind of unique stuff. I want the righteous to succeed. I want the Hardys to succeed. Um, I just I don't know what's going on. My guess is this is financially motivated. That Anthem is seeing the money that they are losing right now. There isn't a marketing arm behind them, a merchandising arm. And the last time somebody saw a TNA T-shirt out in the wild, but
I'm trying to think of a TNA T-shirt that's memorable.
I
I'm
don't know
honest.
what their AMC deal really is structured like. I think that's the other part of it that's kind of interesting. You move to AMC. You and Scott brought this up. They did not up the production value.
No.
It did not
No.
change the way that show looks. And it's great that they're on TV, but what is the compelling force driving it there? And I think, Tommy is a great mind. He's a great creative mind. Road Dogg is a great creative mind. I was a fan of what he was doing on SmackDown for a while. I think it was funny that people didn't like it. It was a very meat and potatoes style of wrestling booking. And I think that
Absolutely.
there's absolutely a place for that. And I think if I were to sit down and look at the TNA roster, there's a lot of really good stuff there. And hopefully, they turn the corner and we're good. I know that Raw is live tonight from beautiful London, England,
Mm-hmm.
and
The
that
O2.
and that means that they are going to stack the card with in-ring matches worth going out of your way to see.
Well, let's take a look here, Robert. Yes, as you mentioned, it is going on earlier today, coming on up. We have Braun Breaker and Austin Theory. They're tagging up against the Street Profits. Hey, that's Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins. This is for the World Tag Team titles, Robert. What would you do here?
Well, so since I've been gone, since I was away, and you couldn't hear the language I was using in beautiful Raleigh, North Carolina, when I was watching WWE programming. Um, Night of Champions, correct me if I'm wrong, was supposed to be like all the titles. It's a pretty simple, straightforward gimmick, right?
Yeah, yeah.
What title does Seth Rollins have?
None.
What title does Braun Breaker have?
Zero.
He has the tag titles, Dom. I was setting you
Oh,
up
that's
easily.
right.
Damn it. It was. Put your hand
Well,
down.
geez, they're
Uh,
doing the Freebird rules.
I'm all for Freebird rules. I thought for sure when they took out Angelo Dawkins, the story we were going to be getting was
Mm-hmm.
Montez Ford and Seth Rollins versus Braun Breaker and Austin Theory for the tag titles in London.
Yeah,
And Wrestling Old Head says, turn Montez Ford for the love of God. There is a world where that would be what winds up happening.
sure.
That you turn Montez Ford as a star, you turn Montez Ford, you've now set up that Javon Evans has issues with the vision. Kids, sign me up for Montez Ford versus Javon Evans yesterday.
Oh man, yeah, absolutely.
But like Montez Ford with Paul Heyman as his backer, we've been high on the Montez Ford stock for years, just waiting and waiting and waiting. Like, will this be our moment? Like, it was just constant buildup for Montez to finally reach his peak. And guys, you know what time it is.
It is that time, everyone.
Oh, it is not their time. I tried to go open the damn
Uh
dock, and
oh.
it was,
Uh
oh,
oh.
there it is. I had to
We'll make
reload.
it time. Okay.
Oh, it's showing that it's
Expired.
wa-
It's the wrong
yeah,
clock.
it's in the trash. You gave me the wrong. You are the worst.
I knew there was something up with that. Well, Robert,
You're
you
having
know,
performance issues, much like folks will be having. Thanks to our friends at Blue Chew.
that's it.
We'll get that read up properly, but obviously BlueChew.com promo code rumor for Blue
Here,
Chew Gold.
Robert, I'll tag in. This episode is sponsored by Blue Chew. Blue Chew Gold is better sex in a tablet. They combine four horsemen ingredients into one powerful solution. Two ingredients get you hard physically, and two support arousal and desire in the brain. It works fast and lasts. Guys, have a complete experience in the bedroom with Blue Chew Gold. There's a reason Blue Chew is the number one brand for better sex. Experience it yourself at bluechew.com. And hey, we got a special deal for our listeners. Right now, when you buy 2 months of Blue Chew Gold, you get the third month for free with promo code RUMOR. That's promo code RUMOR. You will also receive an additional 10% off plus free overnight shipping on your first order. So visit bluechew.com for more details and important safety information. And hey, as always, we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring the pod and the bedroom. There we go. Robert, also on
That was
tap for
so
Raw.
unsettling.
Yeah, you like the noises I make and stuff?
I really did not enjoy anything about this.
Not at all.
By the way, that's how good Blue Chew is. That even Dom, his reading of it, you can overcome that and still utilize our friends at Blue Chew. Speaking of
Mentally.
overcoming things, there is not only a men's world tag title shot tonight. There is a women's tag team title match.
That's right. The ladies are going at it. They got Paige and Brie Bella. They're taking on Lyra Valkyria and Bailey for the WWE Women's Tag Team titles. A lot of speculation that either Lyra, Bailey, or both could potentially turn heel. We Montez may be doing that. Robert, what do you think's going to go down here?
Yeah, if we're not going to get that Montez turn, then I would imagine that Paige and Bree are going to retain in the fluke way that they've continued to win, and then Lyra snaps and attacks Bailey.
Yes, yes.
Because we really have not seen Lyra as a heel in the main roster.
I
And
interviewed her fiance, LJ Cleary, like a year ago, and he said she's going to be a great heel when she turns. So I'm excited to see what potentially they can do with her.
guys, pro tip for the married folks out there: never say, "Boy, when my spouse turns heel, you're going to make some money."
Hey, you could embrace like the Black Swan kind of stuff. I don't know. I think it'd be really cool. Lyra's got some potential as a heel.
I think it's interesting because you have Sol Ruka as the babyface at the Intercontinental level. I think an angry heel Lyra Valkyria going after Sol Ruka is a good program for summer going into fall.
Yeah, I would keep Bailey babyface. I just think there's more to do with her as a babyface. I just don't think they've done it in the right manner for her necessarily. I don't know. Do you feel the same way or do you feel differently?
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, heel Bailey works, and then what happens is they wind up putting her as world champion, and then people wind up falling in love with how entertaining heel Bailey is. Then they wind up turning her babyface again. It's a vicious cycle.
It is. It is. Hey, both the King and Queen of the Ring finalists are going to speak. So that's Obafemi and Jey Uso, and then it's Io Sky. And oh my gosh, who's this? Who's the second one there, Robert?
Liv.
What do you expect from them?
Well, I was yawning. I'm sorry. It happens. Some, Anyway, not an indictment of these segments for the most part. I think, Io and Liv was the match that I had kind of penciled in, I thought, for SummerSlam. So my thought process here is Liv loses Queen of the Ring to Io, and then we get the rematch at SummerSlam. And then there, maybe it's something involving Roxanne or Raquel or who knows what.
Cammy says Raw is that thrilling.
Yeah, that'll be me in about 3 hours watching this on Netflix. Oba continuing to talk about Brock, Jey Uso continuing to talk about the Bloodline, and I believe Solo said like, I'm gonna confront Roman. I don't think is Roman coming? Is he advertised for this Raw?
He's not advertised.
Well, then chances are he ain't showing up for this Raw if he ain't advertised for it. But what is advertised is Dragon Lee versus Ethan Page.
Should be a good match. I don't know. This is a completely different type of match, but Scott and me talked about Axiom taking on Ray Phoenix, and wow, what a matchup that was on SmackDown. So maybe we'll get a little bit of that.
That was a couple weeks ago. That was fun. Yeah, this is one of those things that they like to do. It's we're overseas. We're going to give you a compelling match to go watch because we know that people are going to either actually see the spoilers or accidentally. Like in my case, I wound up accidentally seeing the spoilers quite a bit because the algorithm on X will just like you open up X and it shows you like news or whatever, and it'll just there it is right there. It'll say like, oh, shocking moment, and like, well, now you can't unsee it. I have to run into that issue with all kinds of programming that I watch.
Yeah, that's the big thing, getting on social media. You do a pretty good job though, kind of giving yourself off the grid when you need to.
I try. Well, because if I'm not, here's the thing, because if I'm away, I know my X account is almost entirely pro wrestling based. So the algorithms can show me the rest of it. I don't want stuff to be spoiled. Like I still want to sit back and enjoy and feel like a fan and have those experiences as opposed to going in and being like, okay, I know in this episode X, Y, and Z is going to happen. And then when that purity is taken away, it's less enjoyable. It's why as a kid, I used to hate SmackDown spoilers.
Oh, yeah.
The show is taped on a Tuesday and you're just trying to avoid it for a couple of days. And then you may accidentally stumble across something on SE Scoops was one of those sites. I was not. I was never a WrestleZone guy.
You weren't?
Oh, never, ever, ever. I was a 411 wrestling guy. And then Inside Pulse.
Oh, okay. I didn't go to Inside Pulse.
Well, there was someone who may or may not have similar takes to me that wrote a column there under a pseudonym for years.
Interesting.
No idea who that could be. I followed Scott Keith, quite frankly. That was my stalking horse. If he was on a website, I'm like, oh, I'm going to see what he has to say for a while. And then SE Scoops was a great aggregator of news stories over the years.
Yes. We're live on X. Keep it right now.
I was just gonna, and that was how I was gonna wrap this up, Dom.
Oh.
And that love led to the creation of the WW Creative _ish X account, which is one of the fine places you can catch this show every Monday through Friday at noon Eastern on those plethora of platforms, including WW Creative _ISH, the at Dominic D'Angelo X account, the at Essie Scoops X account, and on the YouTube machine on Studio One Sports and Podcast Heat. So on behalf of the guy that was holding this show down, even if he's holding me back by sending me the wrong link, Dominic D'Angelo, I'm Robert Karpelis. Best of luck in your future endeavors.
Hey, Robert, I'll send you the link tonight for RVD when we go live at 9:30.com or PM. RVDTV.com. Damn it.
Shh.